there is a gathering coming up in Chicago of the forces that have been changing politics, I would say, for the better for the last couple of years. And here to talk to us about that now is Winnie Wong. Winnie is an organizer. She is a co-founder of the organization People for Bernie, and she is one of the organizers of the upcoming People's Summit in Chicago. So first of all, Winnie, thanks for coming on the program.
Thanks for having me, Richard.
Always great to talk to you. And secondly, let's start with this. What is the People's Summit?
Well, the People's Summit is a gathering of activists, organizers, people for Bernie, people who are interested in participating in the political revolution, of thousands of the thousands in Chicago, coming on the 9th of June. So we're looking forward to really bringing together, folks who were really activated and engaged during Bernie's political revolution. And we're going to come together and we're going to explore the possibilities for what is next. And we've put together a really incredible program for attendees, and we have over 150 speakers who are confirmed to attend, and it's going to be, I think, historic.
Yeah, I think it will be too, and as you know, I'll be there. So tell us a little bit about, and Bernie's going to be there, a lot of interesting folks. Tell us a little bit about who's going to be there.
Well, we have a lot of speakers who are confirmed. We have Mandy Klein who's speaking. We have Sean King. We have Linda Sarsour. Of course, Roseanne DeMoro will be speaking. The summit wouldn't be possible without her leadership. Jane Sanders is going to be there. Of course, Bernie, David Sirota, organizers from People's Action, doing really great work in the Midwest and other parts of the country, will be there. We have, student organizers who are coming. We have a lot of organizers from Democratic Socialists of America who've really been experiencing growth in the wake of the election, which is very exciting to see happen. So they will be represented, and really, every organizer who's really been a part of progressive organizing is likely to attend, and many are speaking. So we're really looking forward to bringing together the best organizing minds.
Well, I do think it's going to be a great event, and it certainly sounds exciting. What's your read of the state of play now on the left? We have, I consider the kinds of people who are going to be at the People's Summit representative of the new wave of really left-oriented political and social activism. These are people that I'm really excited about, but there are those forces out there who are not exactly welcoming them. They are being welcomed by many people in the Democratic Party and members of the Democratic Party, for example, but there are a lot of people resisting their presence as well. At least that's my perception of the situation. What do you think?
Well, I think a lot of those people who are resistant to the resistance those who are resisting the resistance formation that will be present at or developed at the People's Summit are in a very small, I think, echo chamber. So I think this is a pretty salient point. We are entering a new paradigm of politics now, and everything is changing, and the game is completely different. And so I think that it'll be a turning point for politics as a whole. And I think that we have a unique opportunity now to engage millions of people to understand that that politics is not just about voting every 4 years. It's every day, and it impacts us every day. And in particular, young people who will be in attendance or tuning in to one of our numerous live stream feeds will be able to learn from the program that we've carefully prepared for those in attendance and for those who are tuning in. The program is very focused on very heavy on political education, which I think is necessary at this time. And we're really going to be unpacking a lot of things that perhaps the Democratic Party has kept packed for the better part of the last decade, or 20 years, 30 years. And so, we're just entering a new paradigm. And, a lot of the old left are, they're aging out, and they will have to make room for new people to participate in the political process. And it is about building a multi-racial, multi-generational popular front, which will hopefully inform popular democracy in the coming years. So, I mean, I'm very hopeful. When I see the young people across the country joining DSA chapters or forming working groups, I feel really just thrilled, and also in some ways like emotional because I don't think that like I expected that this would happen, and I'm just really glad and honored to be a part of it and to be able to organize alongside Bernie Sanders, who is above all an organizer. So.
I get emotional about it too, Winnie Wong, and I think one of the things that is unfortunate about some of the media stereotyping around the movement that was sparked by the Bernie Sanders campaign, for example, is the fact that if you look at the polling numbers, as you know, this number of people who consider themselves Bernie Sanders supporters, members of the left, there are different ways you can measure it, but an enormous number of people of color, large majority of voters of color, 52% of women, this whole notion that it's restricted to these white Bernie bros is really, I think when you attend an event like the People's Summit, it makes it concrete what the polling numbers show, which is that this is a gender diverse, racially diverse, age diverse group of people who really want to see genuine political change. Is it a fair statement, don't you think?
I absolutely agree with you. I think that if you're paying attention to what is really going on, or if you actually know what is going on, then you'll realize that the Bernie Bro narrative is a narrative that was created by the opposition to Bernie. So I think that the internet is an unending, open-ended sort of vacuum that cannot really be filled. That's something that like people really need to understand and wrap their heads around. And we will be talking about some of these sort of new paradigms at the People's Summit. We have breakout sessions and also morning plenary sessions to sort of examine the role of media in our social movements and what that really means in the coming years and how that has changed over the course of the last couple of years. And so just to sort of touch on the Bernie Bro piece, I mean, there are plenty of patriarchal men who supported Bernie, and there are plenty of like patriarchal men who supported Hillary. And so, sexism and misogyny are also themes that will be unpacked at the People's Summit under the tent of neoliberal politics, we'll say, right? So this is going to be a very good opportunity for us to really kind of unpack some of these narratives that are false.
And what it's tied to me, in my mind, is also this. What to me, is this narrative that says that somehow. I'm trying to think of it, that somehow there's a conflict between identity politics or the need to fight for social justice based on gender, sexual orientation, racial identity, that somehow that's in conflict with the idea of fighting for economic justice. That was pushed out a lot during the primary fight between Bernie and the other candidate. And it struck me that that was basically a way to try to neutralize an economic alternative, because I don't think that any quote unquote identity politics hero of the past, whether it's Martin Luther King or Mother Jones or Gandhi or Malcolm X, would recognize, even process the concept that there's a conflict between fighting for economic justice and fighting for identity justice. I think every great identity civil rights hero of the past, for example, would say they're one and the same fight. That's my feeling. What do you think?
Well, I think that, Martin Luther King advocated against capitalism. He understood well that the antidote to what has now become runaway inequality is democratic socialism, and he inspired a generation of young Black leaders to start talking about running for office. And among them, Fred Hampton, became quite prolific in his time, and managed to sort of organize to scale, young people in America to, at the time, start thinking about what it really means to take control of the levers of power. And we know what happened with Fred Hampton. The state murdered him. So I think the difference now is that we are all Fred Hampton, and that is a theme that I think we'll continue to explore at the summit and also in other spaces, in other movement spaces. It's very important that we use this moment to make sure that those who are thinking of running for office are running on an ideological platform and are aware that the politics that they practice professionally, if they are elected, must be principled and rooted in ideology. And this is again, these are some of the themes that we're going to be unpacking at the People Summit. The average person is not familiar with the very concept of identity politics. They don't know what that is, and so it's up to us, those of us who can talk about it, and who can help make clear to younger voters that they might be, falling prey to the identity politics that is so widespread under the Democratic Party. That now is the opportunity for change, and that we know that the single issue choice, right? The choice voters, the choice Democrats, haven't won at all. They haven't won any seats. And why is that? It's because they are not actually educating the base. They're not actually moving, they're not moving their base to actually defend their day-to-day needs, And so it's really, really important that we start to educate the broader public around economics. And we can't have a class analysis without a racial analysis. And we are going to attempt to do that at the People Summit. And we're going to attempt to do that every day that we wake up and, as we sort of start our day and organize for justice. I don't know if this makes sense to you. It's very complicated stuff.
No, of course it makes.
We're feeling optimistic about it, because young people are they're smart. I'm not a young person anymore, but I'm not super old either. But I see the millennials, and I see how egalitarian they are, and I see how supportive they are and cooperative, and how how excited they are about how passionate they are about Bernie still when he's back in the Senate and not running on a campaign. And I feel hopeful. 90 million of these millennials are going to be eligible to vote in 2020.
Well, so I think the future looks really bright. And Winnie Wong There's so much more we could talk about, but unfortunately we're out of time. We will have time to talk about all these things in a larger group at the People's Summit next weekend, June 7th through 9th in Chicago, Illinois. So thanks for helping to organize that. Thanks for co-founding People for Bernie, and thanks for coming on the program.
Thanks for having me, Richard. I look forward to seeing you at the summit.
Same here.